Have you ever wondered what it was really like to live as a Roman gladiator? Not the Hollywood version with slow motion battles and dramatic speeches, but the exhausting, brutal, and surprisingly mundane reality. In this video, we'll guide you through the slow, dusty, and often overlooked corners of a gladiator's daily life. Spoiler alert, you probably wouldn't survive even a single day. But don't worry, this is boring history for sleep, so we're going to take it slow, steady, and deeply informative. Perfect for falling asleep too, or letting your curiosity drift through the ancient past. Before we start, I'd love for you to do two things. First, see if you can stay with us all the way to the end of the video. Just relax, breathe, and let the story unfold. Second, as you're listening, scroll down to the comments and tell us, how are you feeling right now? Sleepy, intrigued, maybe just a little grateful that you weren't born in ancient Rome. I read every comment and your thoughts help guide future videos. Now, let's begin with the first part of your day. As a Roman gladiator, you wake before dawn, not to the gentle rising of the sun, but to the barked commands of a lanista, the head trainer of the ludus gladiator training school. The room is dark, humid, and heavy with the smell of sweat and straw. You are lying on a rough wooden pallet, covered only by a coarse woolen blanket. You slept in your tunic because there is no time or reason to remove it. Comfort is not a consideration in this life. Outside, the training yard waits. The sand raked flat the night before will soon be disturbed by the shuffling of tired feet and the dragging of wooden training swords. Your first task isn't to fight, it's to clean. You and your fellow gladiators begin the day by tending to the ludus itself, sweeping the yard, fetching water, repairing broken practice dummies, and making sure the arena gate mechanisms are still working. This isn't about honor, this is about maintenance. Breakfast is minimal, a bowl of barley porridge, perhaps with a drizzle of olive oil if your lanista is feeling generous. Meat is rare, and you are not fed like a hero. You are fed like an investment. The diet is designed to keep you bulky, not strong, not lean, but bulky. The idea is to create an appearance of strength for the audience. Even if your body feels sluggish and bloated, most of your meals consist of dense, bland mash of grains, legumes, and sometimes ground up animal bones. It is thick, heavy, and unchanging. After breakfast, the real work begins. You move to the training grounds, where your body is tested for endurance, balance, and pain tolerance. There are wooden swords, ludus, and shields made from hide and wood. You're trained not to kill, but to perform. Each strike must be theatrical, each block precise. You spar for hours, sweating under the sun, sand grinding into your sandals and skin. Your instructors shout constantly, criticizing your posture, your footwork, the angle of your strikes. Your muscles ache, your skin bruises, but the beatings don't stop. Some days you train with blunted metal weapons. Other days you wear the full weight of armor, the heavy gilia helmet, the manica arm guard, the greaves, the shield. The heat becomes unbearable. Your sweat soaks the padding beneath the armor, and every movement feels like dragging stone. You are not allowed to rest unless given permission. If you collapse from heat or fatigue, you are dragged off, sometimes whipped, sometimes mocked, not out of cruelty, but discipline. The games must go on, and only the disciplined survive. The lanista watches. He is not your friend. He is your owner, unless you are a volunteer, what they call an octoratus. Even if you signed up willingly, you signed away your autonomy. You are now familia gladiatorial property of the ludus. Your days are planned for you. Your body is no longer yours. Every cut, every bruise, every scar is recorded, noted, tracked like livestock. After midday, you're allowed a short break. Some rest in the shade, others visit the on-site medics, who apply vinegar-soaked cloths to cuts or cauterize deeper wounds. The treatment is crude, but effective enough. Gladiators are expensive to replace. Then it's back to training, drills, sparring, conditioning, climbing ropes, flipping logs, pushing carts weighted with stone. This is less about building strength and more about breaking your limits. You are being prepared for battle, necessarily to win, but to survive long enough to die spectacularly. Evening comes slowly. The training ends only when the instructors say so. Your body is battered, your hands blistered, your shoulders screaming. Dinner is more porridge, perhaps a stale loaf of bread and a handful of dried figs. You eat in silence. The mood is heavy, not with camaraderie, but with exhaustion. Sometimes visitors come, senators, wealthy patrons, or even women of status, curious to see the fighters up close. You are paraded like livestock, cleaned, oiled, inspected. Some of the more popular fighters are pulled aside, offered food or coin, or worse, chosen to entertain in ways far from the arena. Gladiators, for all their image, have little control over what is asked of them. Finally, you return to your cell. You lie back on the same rough bedding, your bones sore, your eyes stinging. There is no privacy, no warmth, and no dreams. Only the knowledge that tomorrow will be the same. And if you are unlucky, the next time the gates open, you will be walking into the arena, not for honor, not for glory, but for the entertainment of those who look down upon you quite literally from the stands. Let me know when you're ready for part 2, and I'll continue this journey through the daily life, battles, psychology, and long-term fate of a gladiator in slow, sleep-friendly, historically accurate detail. The second day begins not with a sunrise, but with the groan of sore muscles as you are roused from sleep. Your body resists, but there is no option. In the ludus, time belongs to someone else. The lanista's word is law, and lateness is punished. Swiftly, if not with lashes, then with extra drills. Every movement is deliberate, functional. You splash your face with water that is not clean, just less dirty. There is no soap. There is no luxury. There is only routine. Your tunic still smells of yesterday's sweat. There is no clean laundry in the ludus. If you are fortunate, you can rinse it in a communal basin, then hang it overnight. But most times it is put back on damp, the coarse, fabric chafing skin that has not yet healed from previous days. This is not unusual. This is normal, and you are not special. Outside, the air is already warm. You hear the familiar scrape of sandals against stone, the rustling of straw underfoot, the barked orders of instructors assembling the day's training groups. Gladiators are organized not by skill, but by fighting style. More mio and trasian artiatus secutor. Each has its own rhythm, its own technique, and its own burdens. The Retiarius, for example, fights with a net and trident light, quick, but vulnerable. The Murmillo carries a large shield and short sword, relying on brute strength. No matter your designation, the goal is the same: to survive long enough to perform well, and perhaps be spared. Your practice weapon today is slightly heavier than the one yesterday. It's made of solid wood, dense and punishing to hold. The idea is to build endurance, so that the real weapon feels like a relief in the arena. Your shoulders ache as you grip it. Already blisters have torn open from the constant friction. There is no ointment for comfort, only rags, if you're lucky. Sometimes not even that. Drills begin again. You walk in a slow, shuffling circle with the others, weapons raised, practicing the block and return stroke. Over and over, the same motion again. Again your legs tremble, but you are not allowed to stop. From the sidelines, the doctors, the trainers observe silently, arms crossed, sticks in hand. If your elbow drops, you are struck. If your form falters, you are made to repeat the move until your body remembers it without thinking. There is no room for improvisation. In the arena, predictability is survival. Today, a new recruit joins your cohort. He is young, thin, frightened. You can see it in the way he glances around, his eyes wide and unfocused. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. Everyone here knows the same fear. He likely came from a prisoner, call him a captured soldier, or perhaps a condemned man. Not all gladiators were criminals, but many were. The empire was efficient in its cruelty. Even minor offenses could land someone in the arena, especially if they were poor: theft, desertion, debt. There were many paths to the sand, and none of them led back. You do not talk to the new recruit. There is no point. He may not last long. After drills comes partner training. You are paired with a man you've fought dozens of times before. There is no animosity between you. You are not enemies. you are closer fighters. He strikes at you with a slow, predictable rhythm, and you parry, as expected. This is not for killing. This is for shaping reflexes. The speed will come later today. Your goal is not perfection, it is endurance. The sun climbs higher, and the heat becomes oppressive. You feel the sweat collecting in your helmet, dripping down your face, stinging your eyes. You blink it away and continue. To stop is to fall behind, and to fall behind is to become weak. Weak men do not last in the arena. They die badly, and forget to have lied after a few hours. The lanista calls a halt. He gestures to the arena entrance. Ludus has its own training amphitheater, smaller than the great Colosseum in Rome, but modeled similarly. The sand is raked and sprinkled with water to keep dust down. Today is mock combat, not for entertainment, but for evaluation. Each pair will fight with dulled weapons under supervision. When your turn comes, your heart pounds, not from fear, but from fatigue. You step onto the sand and take your stance. Across from you, your partner nods. He is just as exhausted. You both know this is for the trainers, not for each other. The fight begins. You clash shields, swing blades, move in, choreographed havoc. Then something goes wrong, your foot slips. Your opponent overcorrects, and the flat edge of his sword crashes into your collarbone with a force that drops you to your knees. Pain floods your shoulder, you gasp. The crowd, other trainees and instructors watch silently. No one runs to help you. Instead, you are told to stand. You do slowly, because you must. The rest of the day is slower. You are allowed time to rest, though rest here means sitting on a bench with your eyes closed, heart still racing, pain still flaring. A medic checks your shoulder. It's not broken, but badly bruised. He offers vinegar and bandages. Nothing more. He moves on. Evening arrives again, and you eat your meal quietly. The same food, the same bowl, the same ache in your arms. You hear rumors among the others. Some say, a new set of games is being organized for the Saturnalia festival. That means increased training, more inspections, and possibly selection for live combat. You do not know if your name will be chosen. You do not know if you want it to be that night. Lying on your back in the dimness of your cell, you think about what lies beyond these walls. The streets of Rome, the lives of ordinary citizens, the warmth of a home, the voice of a friend, things that feel impossibly far away. You stare at the ceiling, listening to the breathing of other men in nearby cells. Some snore, some cough, some whisper prayers to gods you stopped believing in months ago. You close your eyes and sleep comes slowly, more from exhaustion than peace. Morning again, or what passes for morning in the Gladiator barracks. There are no windows to let in the sunlight, just the dull flicker of torches outside the door, and the constant murmur of the city beyond the ludus walls. You wake not because you are rested, but because your body knows it must. Your shoulder still aches from yesterday's blow, the bruise spreading like spilled wine across your skin. But there's no sick leave in the world of the arena. If you can walk, you can train. Today begins with silence. The instructors are already in the yard, lined up with their staffs behind their backs, staring down the line of men who gather at attention. One by one, names are read aloud. You listen closely. Some are dismissed to continue routine training. Others are told to report to the arena for demonstrations. And a few names, just a few, are called out for a different purpose. You hear murmurs. The editor, the man in charge of organizing the next games, is expected to arrive today. A Roman magistrate, maybe a praetor, or even a senator, with the wealth and status to sponsor blood. These men decide who fights, who lives, who dies, and they prefer spectacle, not skill. You are not chosen today, but your friend is. He keeps his expression neutral, but his fingers twitch as he adjusts the ties on his tunic. No one speaks to him as he walks away. There is nothing to say. He may return tonight, or he may not. Training resumed. This morning's focus is weapons. Not the wooden kind, but real steel, though still blunted, to prevent serious injury. You are given a gladius, a short Roman sword used for stabbing more than slashing. It is heavier than it looks, and perfectly balanced for close combat. You spend the next hour practicing thrusts into bundles of straw tied to posts, each one meant to simulate a human torso. You are told to aim for the gap beneath the ribs, or just above the hip, where armor is weakest. Not for killing, for efficiency. You notice a new face among the instructors. A former gladiator, they say. Retired, if such a thing exists. He limps slightly as he walks, his left leg stiff with old injury. His face is covered in scars, thin white lines across his brow. One deep gash running from jaw to ear. He doesn't speak much, but when he demonstrates a move, everyone watches. There's a calm to his motion, a fluidity born of thousands of fights. You wonder how many he won, and how many he lost. After weapons training comes shield work. You are given a scutuma, a massive rectangular shield, curved to deflect blows. It is taller than your torso, heavier than it seems, and awkward to maneuver at first. But with time, you learn to angle it just right to redirect force. You pair with another man, taking turns attacking and defending. Your arms tire quickly. The shield digs into your shoulder, but you hold on. You always hold on. Midday comes. The heat is worse than usual. The dust from the training yard clings to your skin, turning sweat into mud. There is water, but only a little, just enough to drink, not to clean. You eat your usual bowl of porridge in silence. The same barley, mush, the same oily residue at the edges. It fills your stomach but never satisfies. In the afternoon, the instructors change the pace. You are marched in rows to the outer walls of the ludus, where massive stone weights are lined up. They look like millstones, flat and round with hand carved into them. Your task is simple: lift and carry, back and forth, across the yard, for an hour, maybe more. This is strength training, not glamorous, just grueling. Your hands blister, your back tightens, but you keep going because someone is watching. Someone is always watching. Later, you are allowed a short break. You sit in the shade, eyes closed, breathing slowly. The younger ones joke among themselves. Quietly, the older ones stare into nothing. One man, his hair gone silver despite his youth, sharpens his sword on a piece of sandstone, not because it's needed, but because it keeps his hands busy and his thoughts away. Evening nears. The editor has arrived. You hear the shuffle of his entourage: soldiers, scribes, servants. There is a flurry of activity near the front of the ludus. The lanista stands straighter. The instructors fall silent. You are all lined up again, this time not for training, but inspection, like horses at a market. The editor walks slowly. His robes are bright, his sandals clean. He smells of perfume and wine. He does not speak to you directly. Instead, he nods, gestures, and makes notes, as his aide murmurs into his ear. Sometimes he asks to see a scar, a muscle, a stance. If he likes what he sees, he gestures again. And you are marked for the games. Your name is not called tonight, but more than a few are. After he leaves, the atmosphere changes. Some of the chosen ones look proud. Others are quiet. No one sleeps easily that night. In the dark, you hear whispers. Someone nearby is praying. Another is crying softly. Someone else hums a low, tuneless melody, as if trying to remember a song from before the arena. You close your eyes. Tomorrow, you know, may be your turn. The morning air is thick with the scent of damp earth and iron. You are awake before the others this time. Not because you wanted to be, but because your dreams were restless fragments of sand. Shouting crowds, steel flashing in the sun. You stare up at the cracked ceiling of your cell, watching the flickering shadows from the torches outside. Somewhere beyond, Rome is waking up. But for you, the day has already begun. When the doors finally creak open, there is no need for shouting. Everyone rises. The rhythm of life in the ludus has become instinct. You pull on your tunic stiff from dried sweat and step into your sandals. Outside, a fine mist clings to the training yard, softening the edges of the stone walls and wooden posts. It might be a beautiful morning, if you weren't expected to bleed in it. The lanista's voice echoes across the courtyard. Today's training will focus on paired formations, group tactics. While most think of gladiators as lone combatants, there are certain games called venations or group exhibitions that require small teams. Sometimes for show, sometimes for combat. It's not about cooperation so much as coordination. You are expected to move in rhythm with others. Even if you barely know them, you are handed your practice gear, a wooden gladius, and a small round shield. Unlike the massive scutum from yesterday, this one forces you to be nimble. Your instructor barks out orders: advance in line, shield left, rotate reverse, over and over, the same movements, step thrust, shield retreat, again, again, again. Your feet ache from the stone beneath your sandals. Blisters from the previous day have split open, staining the cloth with dots of red. The man beside you trips once he is struck across the back with a staff for breaking formation. No one helps him up. He gets back on his feet silently, wincing. As he falls back into line, there is no room for weakness later. The formations break up, and you're led to a separate corner of the training yard, where mock traps are set wooden spikes, barriers, raised platforms. You are told to fight one-on-one over uneven terrain. The purpose, the instructor says, is to prepare for special arena layouts. Some editors enjoy designing obstacles to increase the drama. Trenches, ramps, even hidden pits. The crowd loves unpredictability. You are expected to adapt. Your opponent is fast, too fast for your bruised shoulder to keep up. You're clipped on the thigh, stumble over a step, and fall onto the sand. Your instructor shouts at you to get up. You do and again, each time, a little slower, but you finish the drill. That's all that matters. When midday comes, the yard smells of blood and dust. A few men limp to the mess hall. Others sit with heads in their hands, sweat pouring down their backs. The food is the same, a wooden bowl of porridge, maybe a few lentils if the kitchen has them. You eat without tasting. Your mind drifts. You think about how long you've been here. Days, weeks. You've lost track. There are no calendars in the ludus. Time is marked by training cycles and arena matches, by who returns and who doesn't. You recall the faces of men who once sat beside you, some now gone, some replaced by newer, quieter faces. The afternoon brings weapons maintenance. Every gladiator is responsible for his own arms. You sit beneath the shade of a wooden awning, sharpening a blade that doesn't belong to you. Not really. The gladius is standard issue, but you've handled it long enough that it feels familiar, like a limb or a leash. Beside you, another man works in silence. His knuckles are raw from earlier training. He says nothing. None of you do. Talking drains energy, and there is nothing worth saying. Not today. Suddenly, a horn sounds from across the compound. It's not an alarm, it's a signal. You look up. The lanista is on the steps, a scroll in his hand. He reads names again. These are not for training. These are for the Munera, the games. A real fight, not mock combat. Not a demonstration. Your name is called. There's no time to think. You are ushered away from the others. You feel a strange stillness settle in your chest. Not fear. Exactly. Something colder. Numbness. You're taken to the preparation chamber. A different part of the walls here are lined with weapons, real ones, sharp and gleaming under torchlight. You're instructed to strip and bathe. The water is barely tepid. You wash quickly. Then oil is rubbed onto your skin to make your body shine under the arena lights. The lanista wants the crowd to see the muscles they've trained, the scars you've earned. It's part of the show. An assistant offers you a choice of gear. You are designated as a secutor today, a class of heavily armored fighter, designed to battle a Your helmet has small eye holes and a rounded top, made to deflect nets. You are given a gladius and a curved rectangular shield. Greaves protect your shins. A metal guard wraps around your right arm. You are led to a holding cell near the arena floor. The sounds above are already deafening. The crowd roars, cheers, chants. Music plays somewhere. Trumpets, drums. You can feel the vibrations through the stone floor. The door opens. You walk into sunlight, blinding hot. The sand beneath your feet is uneven. The smell is overwhelming: sweat, blood, wine, smoke, all around. People lean forward in their seats, eyes fixed on you. They are shouting, laughing, pointing. Children wave flags. Nobles sip wine and place bets. Across the arena, your opponent enters. The Retiarius carries a trident and a net. He is quick, barely armored, designed for agility. His goal is to entangle You and strike while you're off balance. Yours is to endure, close the distance, and kill. The editor raises his hand. The trumpet sounds, the fight begins. But this is not a story of glorious combat. This is not a tale of triumph. It is slow, exhausting, clumsy. You dodge the first cast of the net, parry the trident, stumble once, recover. He circles you. You press forward. Your shield blocks a jab. You lunge too far. He evades. The sun beats down. Your lungs burn. Your limbs feel heavy. A second jab. A glancing blow across your ribs. You roar and charge, shield raised. He slips. Your gladius finds flesh. The crowd erupts. The retiarius falls. You stand over him. The editor looks down, considers. He raises. 2 fingers dash mercy. The crowd cheers. You are pulled away. The fight is over. The man you fought will live, so will you. For now, back in the barracks, you strip off your armor. You are drenched in sweat. Your ribs are bruised. But you're breathing. You made it. You eat in silence the same food, the same shadows, the same bed of straw. And in the darkness, sleep comes a little faster, but peace never does. The night after the fight passes strangely. Your body is heavy with fatigue, but your mind remains alert, flickering in and out of sleep like a lantern in wind. Your ribs ache from the strike. There is a cut on your thigh you hadn't noticed. Until later, shallow but sore. Yet these wounds are small victories. You survived. The retiarius lived too. For now, both of you have earned another day of breath, another morning under Rome's sky. You wake with a kind of emptiness. There is no applause in the barracks. No glory. You do not feel like a hero. Only a tool that returned from use. Outside, the yard is quiet. Those not chosen for yesterday's bout are already training, moving through formations like shadows. Their eyes flick toward you only briefly. There is no celebration. Fights are common. Surviving them is expected. Your first task of the day is cleaning. You are given a rag and a pot of gritty paste to scrub down armor from the fight. Blood has dried along the rim of your shield and the curve of your greave. You rub in slow circles. The smell of iron lingers. No one thanks you for the work. No one notices. It is simply part of the routine. After the cleaning comes silence. For the rest of the morning, you are not called to train. Not even light drills. Your name has been recorded on the register of the Munira victors. You are given a rest day though. Rest is generous. There are still chores, still sweat, just fewer hits. You watch the others spar. Some are fresh, new arrivals trying to find their rhythm. Others are more practiced, their movements sharp, their expressions cold. One man trains with a spear twice his height. Another swings a hammer with slow, heavy arcs, like a man chopping wood. You notice how many of them are scarred. One with no ear, another missing fingers. These are not men trained to win, they are men trained not to die. By midday the heat becomes oppressive. The sun climbs high above the walls of the ludus, and the stones begin to radiate heat. The cook's hand, out water warm, slightly bitter. You drink anyway. Every drop matters. Lunch is barley bread and a thick stew. It smells better than usual, and you realize it's because today the editor sent a bonus to the Lanista sign of favor. After all, your match was well received. The crowd had roared, and your restraint at the end, sparing the retiarius, had seemed noble. Of course, you didn't do it for nobility. You did it because you had no choice. The editor chose mercy. You simply obeyed. But that detail doesn't matter to the spectators. They will remember the pose, not the truth. After the meal, you're allowed into the shade of the bathhouse. It's not a luxury, it's part of maintenance. Sore muscles lead to slow reactions. Infection ruins careers. The bath is a wide pool of tepid water, surrounded by low stone benches. A slave helps you wash the grime from your arms. You close your eyes as steam rises around you, letting the heat seep into your joints. It's the only moment of the day that feels remotely human. Others join you in the bath, murmuring quietly in Latin, Greek, and languages you don't recognize. Some joke, others sit in silence. One man, older, scarred across the belly, speaks of a dream he had of his home, far away, where olives grew and his sister sang while working the fields. No one laughs at him. Everyone dreams of somewhere else. Later, back in the training yard, the pace shifts. The instructors call for tactical exercises. This time, it's not just physical, it's mental. They walk you through hypothetical fights. What to do if your opponent has reach, if he circles. If he uses deception, you are handed a wooden sword and asked to demonstrate how you'd counter certain moves. You'd get some right, some wrong. The goal isn't perfection, it's memory, muscle, memory, mental readiness. You aren't just learning how to kill, you're learning how not to die at sunset. The yard glows with fading gold. The torches are lit. The slaves begin sweeping the dust. You are sent back to your cell with a simple command: rest. Tomorrow will bring another round of evaluations. The editor has scheduled more games. He will be selecting fighters again. Your body hurts in ways you can't describe. Not sharp pain, just the deep, worn soreness of someone pushed past exhaustion. You lie on the straw mat, staring at the low ceiling dot in the distance. The city hums. You hear a musician playing a flute. Laughter in a nearby courtyard. The scent of roasting meat carried on the breeze. Rome lives just beyond these walls, vibrant and indifferent. Inside the ludus, the night settles in. The sound of quiet breathing surrounds you. No one speaks. Everyone is waiting for morning. You close your eyes. You are not afraid, you are tired. The light is dim when you wake, not because it's still early, but because the sun hasn't yet breached the high stone walls of the ludus. A faint breeze stirs the straw scattered near the threshold of your cell. For a moment, it feels peaceful, almost like morning in a countryside villa. Almost then the routine begins again. The clang of a bell, the crack of a staff against a wooden door, the slow shuffling of feet as men rise one by one. You pull on your tunic, still stiff at the seams, and follow the others out into the main yard. The ground is already marked with footprints from the earlier group, those whose training starts before dawn. You're not among them this time. Today you're sent to assist the armorers. It sounds like a reprieve. It is not. The armory sits in the rear of the ludus compound, a low building of stone and timber with open walls for ventilation. Inside, racks of weapons stand in precise rows: tridents, spears, daggers. Helmets are stacked on benches, their metal dulled by dust and sweat. Shields lean in piles like sleeping beasts. Your task is simple: inspect, clean, and repair. A gladiator's gear must be battle-ready at all times. Rust is the enemy. A weakened buckle can mean death. You take a cloth soaked in oil and begin rubbing down a scutum, wiping around the iron boss at its center. The surface is scratched, splintered near the rim. You flag it for replacement. An older slave works beside you. He speaks little, but his hands are steady. You watch as he rewraps a grip with tight, even layers of leather. He doesn't speak Latin, but he points, shows you the technique. You mimic it. He nods. Occasionally, a gladiator enters to exchange a helmet or request an adjustment. You recognize some of them, men you've trained beside. A few nod at you. One makes a quiet joke about your previous fight. You don't laugh, but you don't correct him either. The lanista stops by unexpectedly. He doesn't say much, just observes. His eyes are sharp, calculating. When he turns to leave, the air feels lighter. After midday, you're called back to the yard. It's time for animal drills. Most don't realize that gladiators sometimes fought animals. Lions, leopards, boars, bears. Rome's editors delighted in exotic beasts. These fights were rare and unpredictable, but if called upon, you needed to know how to behave. Today, it's a simulation. You're handed a blunted spear and paired with a wooden wheeled frame shaped like a wild boar. Two men push it toward you. At speed, zigzagging as it advances. Your task: avoid, feint, strike, and recover. You miss the first time, caught off balance. You jab too soon. The instructor grunts, resets the drill. Again and again. Your arm begins to ache from holding the heavy spear upright. Your legs burn, but you start to improve. You adjust. You time the charge. You strike the wooden board just above the frame's axle and step clear before it passes. Not perfect, but better. Another group practices against a cloth lion rigged to a pulley. It moves in short bursts, imitating pounces. The man training with it stumbles. He's reprimanded. A real lion wouldn't give a second chance. The truth is sobering. Most animals in the arena aren't trained. They are frightened, confused, driven mad by fire, hunger, and crowds. They don't fight with tactics, they fight with panic. And panic kills later. Back near the baths, you're handed a scroll. It's not addressed to you directly, it's general news from the editor's office, posted on a wooden board. New games announced for the end of the month. Big ones. Sponsored by a local magistrate with ambitions for office. He wants spectacle, blood, drama. You see your name, not alone. It's listed with others. A group bout, possibly teams. The details aren't final yet. You fold the parchment and return to your cell. You feel the dull nut of worry, not panic. But wait, you've been chosen again. This is what you were trained for. This is what you exist for. Dinner is quiet. The food is thicker. Tonight, barley beans and a bit of dried meat. You eat slowly, methodically. Around you, others do the same. No one talks about the names on the scroll, but everyone saw them. Afterwards, a few men gather near the far end of the barracks, playing dice with bones carved into cubes. The game is simple. The stakes are low. Bits of dried fruit, extra rations, a strip of cloth. You watch for a while, but do not join. You have nothing to bet, and less to win. As night falls, the temperature drops. A faint chill rises from the stone floor. You lie back on your mat, arms folded behind your head, staring at the wooden beams above. The scent of oil and dust clings to your skin. Somewhere nearby, someone snores. Another mutters in his sleep. Beyond the walls, Rome buzzes with life carriages rattling over stone. Vendors calling out in twilight, laughter and music rising from distant courtyards. But here there is stillness, not peace. Just quiet. You close your eyes. The day is done. Tomorrow waits. The morning begins with a thin mist clinging to the corners of the courtyard, lifting gently as the sun stretches over the eastern walls. The air is cool for now, but it will heat quickly. You wake before the bell, a habit forming. Your body knows the rhythm even before the call. No one speaks during the early rise. The others around you are quiet, dressing, stretching, joints still sore from yesterday's drills. A few men murmur soft prayers. Others trace small symbols into the dirt, with their fingers marks from their homeland. Private words for strength, survival, or peace. Today is a review day. The doctors, the senior trainers, walk among you as you form lines. They call names, assign stations. You're paired with a secutor, a heavier type of gladiator whose job is to wear you down with slow, relentless pressure. The match is non-lethal practice only, but the bruises will be real. You receive a wooden sword again, but the weight is nearly the same as steel. It's meant to tire you. You roll your shoulders, feel the tension in your neck, and prepare. The first round begins with a simple advance. Your opponent raises his shield and moves forward with short, controlled steps. He doesn't swing immediately, he wants to watch. You strike once, lightly, and move back. He follows. Time becomes strange in these drills. Moments feel long. Your breath becomes louder than the shouts around you. Dust rises in small clouds. Beneath your feet, the wooden weapons clap together with a dull, dead sound. After 3 rounds, the trainer nods. Better, he says. That's all. He moves on. The rest of the morning is spent practicing with formations. You are taught how to move as a group, shields together, advance as one, retreat as one. It's a drill meant for team fights, where coordination is more important than individual strength. The shields are heavy, your shoulder burns, but you learn at one point a man in your formation stumbles, breaking the line. The instructor screams not out of anger, but necessity. In the arena, a broken formation means exposure. It means death. The sun is high by the time you break for water. A thin cloth is wrapped around your forehead to keep the sweat from your eyes. Your tunic is soaked, clinging to your back. The smell of the yard is always the same: iron, dust, old leather, oil, and the dry scent of your own breath. You sit under the shadow of the southern wall and sip slowly from a clay cup. Across the yard, 2 young recruits are being taught how to fall. That's a skill often ignored. Falling without breaking bones, without losing your weapon. It's an art. The lanista appears again, never unannounced. He speaks to one of the trainers, gesturing in your direction. You keep your gaze down, though you listen, only fragments reach you. Group fight, crowd favorites, balance of weapons. You are being discussed like a piece of equipment, but that doesn't surprise you anymore. Later in the day, you are sent to the scriptorium. A scribe is taking notes for the upcoming match names, styles, history. He asks you your origin, your past victories. You speak plainly. You fought once, survived. He nods, writes it down with a thin reed pen. He asks your preferred weapon. You say, he nods again. Efficient, boring, easy to match. Before you leave, he mentions the editor's plan. You may be paired with a Risharius, he says without looking up. They want contrast. Net and trident beside a sword and shield. Makes a good picture. You nod and leave. You've sparred with Retiari before. They're fast, lightly armored. They rely on distance. If they fail to entangle or strike quickly, they're dead. Pairing with one might be useful, might be dangerous. Back at the barracks, you find your mat and lie down for a short rest. You doze lightly. The sounds of the ludus continue without pause. Boots on stone, the strike of metal, the bark of orders. When you wake, the sky is orange. Evening drills begin. This time it's endurance work. Running with sandbags, climbing rope, holding your weapon in position until your arms shake. The goal isn't to fight well, it's to keep fighting when you're tired, because in the arena exhaustion comes quickly, and death follows close behind. After training, a few men share stories, some real, some not. One claims he fought a tiger in the provinces, another insists he saw a man catch a gladius with his bare hands. No one believes him, but no one corrects him. Stories are sometimes all you have. Dinner is simpler tonight, just bread and lentils. No meat, rations are being consumed. The Lanista expects more games soon. You return to your cell, lightheaded. Your skin stings from where the rope scraped it raw. Your muscles twitch as you lie down, and then, just before sleep takes you, you hear something unexpected. Laughter, faint but real, from another cell nearby. It lasts only a second. It reminds you that, even here, moments of lightness exist. However brief, you exhale. Darkness closes in. Tomorrow will be harder, but for now, you are still breathing. You wake to the sound of chains being dragged across stone. Not an alarm, there is no panic, but as part of another day's work in the ludus. A few men are being transferred, perhaps punished, or maybe rotated into another cell block. You don't know them well. You don't ask questions. The floor is cold beneath your bare feet. Your tunic is stiff from yesterday's sweat, and the air smells faintly of oil, smoke, and something else, maybe boiled onions from the kitchen. You stretch your arms overhead until your shoulders crack. A dull ache lives deep in your muscles. Constant now, as if your body has absorbed the rhythm of the training. Today begins with footwork drills. No weapons, no shields, just movement. You're led into the sanded square in pairs, and the doctor watches closely. Each step must be purposeful, each shift in balance intentional. You are told to pivot sharply, to keep your center low, to anticipate the invisible opponent in front of you. It's quiet during these drills. There's no need for shouting. The mistakes speak for themselves. After a while, a rhythm sets in. Step, pivot, slide, brace, over and over again. Dust clings to your calves. Your knees begin to tremble from the repetition. But you continue. In the distance, you hear laughter again. Not from your cellmates this time, but from the stands. A Roman noble and his entourage have come to tour the ludus. This is not uncommon. Patrons of the games like to observe. Some sponsor fighters, some gamble. Some simply enjoy the spectacle of training, like watching hounds being taught to hunt. You're not summoned before them. You're not considered interesting enough yet, but you feel their eyes pass over the yard, and for a moment, you are aware of how little your own body belongs to you. After drills, you're sent to spar. This time, it's not for precision, it's for tempo. Each round is timed. You're forced to fight with speed, to attack in a flurry and retreat just as fast. You are paired with a taller man. He swings wide and fast, but he's You parry twice, then strike lightly at his chest. The trainer calls for a reset. You go again. Faster this time, You begin to understand that many gladiator fights don't last long. A few exchanges, a burst of violence, a decision. The crowd wants action, not drawn-out chess. That's for generals, not slaves. By midday, the sun is directly overhead. The heat has turned the courtyard into a shallow oven. Shadows shrink, skin burns. You're given water warm and slightly metallic and a bowl of boiled grain with a few slivers of dried fig. You sit in the narrow shade beside the armory, knees pulled up, back against the wall. The silence is heavy, then someone nearby speaks. Softly, it's one of the older gladiators. He's missing 2 fingers, but he's lived through at least a dozen matches. His voice is low, almost like a lullaby. He tells a story not to anyone in particular, but to the air. He speaks of his first real fight, how the crowd screamed his name, how his opponent bled out slowly, eyes wide with fear, unable to speak. He says he can still see that face in his dreams. No one responds. He doesn't expect them to later. You are summoned to the medicus, the camp healer, not for illness, but for evaluation. He checks your wounds, your joints, your breathing. He inspects the bruising on your ribs from earlier drills and applies a foul-smelling paste. You wince, but he does not apologize. You're still strong, he says, without warmth. That will change. You're given a tonic to drink, bitter, maybe herbs, maybe something else. You don't ask. When you return to the yard, the doctor calls a group together. He speaks briefly. Tomorrow, the editor visits. He wants to see pairings, teamwork, not just swordplay but cohesion. You will form squads, you will be watched. This is a test not of individual skill, but of compatibility. The editor is choosing fighters for the upcoming spectacle. Gladiators will be grouped to create contrast, balance, excitement. You must fight well, but not so well that your partner looks weak. You must show strength without arrogance, obedience, without cowardice. You're paired with a net fighter, Aretiarius. He is young and thin, but agile. His net is made of rope, not weighted yet. His trident is wooden. You are told to rehearse tactics together, combined attacks, positioning. He doesn't speak much. You nod to each other, and then you begin. At first it's clumsy. You move too fast. He lags behind. Your strikes block his range. His net tangles near your legs. The doctor shouts again. You reset, try again. This time you wait longer before moving. Let the net cast first, then follow up. He understands. The pattern improves. By the time the sun dips low, you've found a rhythm. You're not a unit yet, but you're not strangers either. You share a nod when the day ends. It is not friendship. It is understanding. Dinner is earlier than usual. Signal that something is being prepared for tomorrow. Something formal. You eat quickly and return to your cell. Outside, Rome is still humming. You hear it now more clearly than before. The sound of wagons, temple bells, faint music, the smell of smoke, baked bread and perfume drifting on the air. But within these walls, it is quiet again. You lie down, your arms crossed over your chest. The net fighter sleeps somewhere nearby. You wonder what dreams fill his mind. You wonder what yours will hold. You close your eyes. The stone beneath you is warm from the day's heat. Slowly it cools. Another day survived. Tomorrow you must perform again. The day begins differently. The light in your cell is filtered through soft cloth. Hanging in the corridor, a red banner draped across the hallway in preparation for today's visit. The editor, the man responsible for organizing the upcoming games, will walk the ludus this morning to observe the fighters he has chosen, or may choose for the arena. You are already awake. Many of the others are, too. No bell needed. Today, you feel the silence more than ever. It's not the silence of exhaustion or fear. It's anticipation. The kind that tightens your jaw, slows your breath. No one speaks above a whisper. You chew your breakfast, bare bread and a cup of watered wine with measured, mechanical movements. Your tunic has been brushed clean. Your training gear arranged neatly outside your cell. When you step into the courtyard, the sun is soft, casting long shadows along the gravel paths and worn paving stones. The doctors move quickly today, checking formations, barking soft instructions, adjusting shields, nodding to themselves. Everything must appear orderly. The editor arrives mid-morning. You hear the murmurs, first his entourage trailing behind him. Voices polite and clipped. A senator's son walks beside him, nodding, pointing, smiling. Several women in fine stolas walk behind them, lifting the hems of their robes delicately above the dust. They don't speak to the gladiators. Not directly. The editor is dressed plainly, but with refinement. A pale toga with a thin purple border. Sandals laced with gold thread. His face is lined, his mouth small and unsmiling. He doesn't need to speak loudly. When he gestures, people move. You are standing in a group with your partner, the retiarius from yesterday. His net is rolled and draped over his shoulder. You grip your wooden gladius lightly, ready but unthreatening. The doctor signals you forward. You and your partner step into the center of the training ground. The editor stops. He studies you for a moment, says something in a low voice to the senator's son. Then, he nods. Begin, the doctor says. You move. The dance is not graceful, but it is clean. The retiarius circles first, net in hand, feinting toward the imagined enemy. You follow, keeping your shield high. When he casts the net, you rush forward with 2 sharp strikes, one to the midsection, another toward the shield. Arm. The sequence ends. You reset, repeat. You vary your approach. The editor watches, but does not smile after several rounds. The doctor calls a halt. You and your partner step back. The editor leans close to his scribe, speaks briefly, then continues walking. He will see a dozen more fighters today. You are not special to him. You are another possibility in his theater, but something about his glance lingers. Later, back in the shaded corridor near the barracks, the doctor approaches you. Be ready, he says. You'll be fighting on the 3rd day of the festival. Paired bout. Crowd is expected to be large. That's all. No praise. No warning. Just a fact. You nod. You are dismissed for the afternoon. No training now. Not today. The body must rest before it is shown. That's what the doctor always says. You sit under a low awning, surrounded by murmuring fighters and the occasional clatter of armor being oiled in the distance. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just to listen. The world feels smaller in these moments. Your breath, the sounds, the stone wall behind you, your own heartbeat. When evening falls, you are called to the baths. The water is warm today, not hot, but warm enough to soften the ache in your limbs. You lower yourself slowly, allowing your body to adjust. Around you, others soak in silence. Occasionally someone speaks quiet memories of past games. Speculations about who will fight whom. Whether this editor is generous or cruel, no one answers with certainty. You scrub your skin with a cloth soaked in crushed herbs. The scent rises and clean. You wash the dust from your face, the oil from your hair. For a moment you feel almost human again. The water calms your nerves, but not for long outside. Night has fully arrived. The torches flicker along the walkways of the ludus. Somewhere nearby, a lute plays, soft and slow, probably one of the guards. The melody is simple, repetitive, almost comforting. You walk back to your cell in the dark. The stone is cool under your feet. The air smells faintly of smoke and damp linen. Inside your mat waits a small folded blanket, a wooden box with your things, a strip of cloth, a dried fruit, a carved token of no value. You lie down, arms at your side. You think of the editor's expression blank. You think of your partner's net casting through the air, how its shadow moved across the sand. You wonder what the crowd will shout when your name is called. You wonder whether you'll hear them at all. Sleep comes slowly, but eventually, it comes. The day begins not with training, but with waiting. You are awake early, but not called to the yard. Instead, a servant of the lanista appears and tells you to remain near your cell. Not just you, several others as well. Fighters selected for the upcoming games. You've seen some of them train. A few are scarred veterans, others newly acquired, still finding their place. Some are quiet, some speak too much. But this morning none of them speak at all. You wait. The hours pass slowly. There is something in the air today. Anticipation, tension. The sounds of the ludus seem muted. Even the doctors speak with measured voices. Finally, you are called. You walk in single file to a wide stone hall within the domus of the lanista. The walls are lined with painted frescoes, some of gladiators, others of mythological scenes. One shows Hercules wrestling a lion. Another, a man being dragged behind a chariot. None of it feels heroic. The figures are idealized, stylized, too perfect. You stand in a line as the lanista enters, followed by the editor once again. This time the editor carries a wax tablet in hand. He reviews names, asks questions in a low voice. Each fighter steps forward, gives their name, type, experience. When it is your turn, you speak clearly, without decoration. Your name, your style. One match survived. No victories, no defeats. Just survival. The editor doesn't look up, but he nods slightly. You are approved. You and your assigned partner the Resierus will fight as a team on the third day of the festival. In the early afternoon, the match is scheduled after the Venetians, the animal hunts, and before the executions, a good slot. The crowd will be restless, loud, hungry for action. You return to your cell with a scroll. It lists the match pairings, written in red ink, formal Latin script. You are listed as a secutor gladiator. Your partner, Riciarius. Opponents, one Murmillo, one Hoplomachus, both seasoned. One has killed twice before. The other wears a greave. Made from bronze looted in Macedonia. The next 2 days will be for preparation. In the afternoon, you return to the training ground not for combat drills, but for display training. You are taught how to present yourself to the crowd, how to raise your weapon after victory, how to request missio mercy if defeated. There is choreography to it. Every movement is a message, a plea, a performance. The doctor shows you how to walk into the arena with dignity, back straight, chin level, no fear. You repeat the steps until your feet move without thought. Later, in the shade of the armory, the armorers measure your torso. They take down notes for the fitting. You won't wear full gear until the morning of the match, but adjustments are made now. They mark your chest with charcoal to fit a leather harness. The shield you're given is smaller than standard. Not for your protection but to make the fight more visible to the crowd. Safety is not the priority, visibility is. That night you eat with the others, chosen for the games. The meal is modest roasted barley, boiled vegetables, and salted meat. A small jug of wine is passed around. You drink sparingly. The Riciaria sits across from you, silent as usual. But as the firelight flickers along the walls, he speaks to. You think they'll cheer. You don't answer right away. Eventually you say, they'll cheer for something. Might not be us. He nods slowly. That is enough. Later back in your cell, you kneel beside your mat. You remove a small token from the wooden box, a piece of carved bone, shaped like a laurel leaf. It came from someone who is gone now. You press it to your lips, then place it beneath your blanket. You lie back. The sounds of the ludus are softer. Now, somewhere, a wheel turns. A dog barks in the city beyond. The flicker of a torch dances across the stone wall above you. You think about the arena, about the sand, the gate, the sound of thousands of people waiting. You think of what you will feel when you step into that light. You breathe deeply once. Twice, sleep settles slowly, like ash drifting onto quiet earth, and the world fades to silence again. You wake earlier than usual. Not from sound, but from the sense of movement around you. The barracks are already alive with quiet footsteps, murmured instructions, the clink of metal. The sun hasn't yet risen, but the preparation for the day's routines has already begun. Today is the last day before the festival. The games, the training is light, purposefully so. There will be no full sparring today, no bruises, no exhaustion. The body must conserve what strength it has. What remains now is polishing, refining, preparing the mind. You are guided, like the others, to the outer courtyard, a space not used every day, quieter, less worn. A new group of trainees is being led through their first footwork drills nearby. You see their awkward stances, hear the sharp corrections from their doctor. Their legs tremble as they hold a stance too long. Their expressions are tense, uncertain. You remember when you looked like that now. Your posture is stronger, your movement more natural. You no longer think about where your feet go. They simply go. The Riciarius, your match partner, is already in position, sitting quietly on a bench made of sun-dried stone. He is inspecting his net, running it between his fingers, checking for knots, weak points. It's been reweighted for the real fight. The lead pellets sewn into the edges glint faintly. When he sees you, he offers a brief nod. You return it. The doctor gestures you both forward. Walk the perimeter, he says. You begin moving together, not fighting, not sparring, just walking. The imagined arena layout, side by side. You trace the space with your feet, adjust your spacing, change your angles. It is a silent rehearsal. You practice what it will feel like to move with another man beside you, to rely on his timing, to offer support without hesitation. The sun is rising higher. Its warmth creeps across the flagstones. You're brought to the weapons tent next. One by one, each fighter steps inside, inspects their assigned armaments. You are given a freshly sharpened gladius. Its edge is gleaming, its weight familiar but heavier than the wooden blade you've trained with. The grip is wrapped in dark leather. Worn smooth. You hold it a moment, adjusting your stance with it. You strike once, into the air. The sound it makes is clean. You hand it back to the attendant, who marks your name beside its serial. Next. Your armor. You are measured again, and the armamentary. The armor is fastened the curved bronze greave to your left leg. It clamps tightly just below the knee. They adjust the manica, the padded sleeve that wraps your right arm, tightening the leather straps. The curved shoulder plate sits heavy, but familiar. Your body is now half covered, protected only on the lead side. You know your vulnerable angles. This imbalance is by design. You spend part of the afternoon sitting in the shade, where olive trees grow beside the walls of the ludus. Their leaves rustle gently in the wind. The sound reminds you of something. Distant train, maybe, or the sound of cloth on stone. Across the yard, another pair of gladiators practice their formations. One is a mermelot tall, with a massive rectangular shield. His partner is slimmer, with a curved blade and no helmet. They move like they've done this before. The doctor sits nearby, watching silently. He taps his stylus against a wax tablet, then marks something down, observing. Always observing, even in these final moments. The training never truly ends. As evening approaches, the atmosphere shifts. You're gathered with the other fighters chosen for tomorrow's spectacle. There is no speech, no farewell, just instructions. You are told when you'll be roused, what time to report to the armory, where to stand before your names are called, what signal means, mercy, what gesture is required if you fall and cannot rise. You're told that the editor has reserved places for high-ranking guests, senators, priests, perhaps even someone from the emperor's household. You will not see them clearly, but you must bow to their presence before the match begins. When the briefing ends, you return to your cell. Dinner is quieter than usual. A thick porridge, soft bread, and a small fig. There is no wine tonight. The ricciaria speaks again, softly. While sitting on the opposite mat, my last partner died fast, he says. Didn't block, he just froze. You nod. I won't freeze. Good, he says. Then silence. He lies down. You stay awake a little longer. Listening, you can hear the city beyond the wall now. People moving through the streets. The rhythm of Roman life continues just out of reach. Tomorrow, some of them will cheer, some will jeer, some will glance only briefly, distracted, before returning to their dates and olives and conversations. To them, you are entertainment. To you, it is a fight for survival. You lie back, one hand on your chest, the other resting near the token beneath your mat. You close your eyes. The stone beneath you is familiar now. It holds the shape of your body. The cool air settles slowly in the room. In your mind, you see the gate, the sand, the sunlight beyond. And then sleep. Deep. Uninterrupted, like a soldier before battle. You are awakened long before sunrise. The air is cool, almost damp. A soft knocking on the iron grate of your cell signals the moment. No words are spoken, no trumpet, no drum, just a knock. You rise silently. Outside, the corridor is already lit. With oil lamps, figures move without conversation. Gladiators selected for the day's games. Some walk with the steady movements of experience. Others shift anxiously, shoulders tight, glancing sideways. You know the look. You've worn it before. A guard directs you toward the preparation hall. Inside, The armamentary are waiting. They move like clockwork. Greaves are checked for tightness. Helmets lined with new padding. Weapons sorted by size, weight, and classification. There is no decoration, nothing ceremonial. Every step has a function. You are handed your assigned gladius again, the same one from 2 days before. You run your fingers down its flat side. Still sharp. The armor is heavy today. Not just physically, mentally. Every buckle, every strap seems to weigh more. You adjust your shoulder plate. Check the straps on. Your Monica the shield is issued last rounded with a reinforced boss in the center. Its wood is polished, freshly oiled. The Retiarius is beside you. He receives his net and trident. The net is folded neatly, ready to be cast. The trident has a new tip, sharpened to a gleam. He carries a dagger strapped to his thigh. Neither of you speaks. You're led together to the outer gate. Not yet the arena, but a chamber just beyond the ludus walls, a waiting space, half in shadow. It smells of sweat, dust, and the faint metallic scent of oiled steel. A priest enters with a small brazier of incense. You are asked to touch the flame with your weapon, not for the gods, necessarily, but for tradition, for the crowd. The ritual is old, older than the empire itself. You comply. The smoke curls upward, gray and thin. Another official reads your names aloud from a scroll, confirming your identities, your matched roles, your opponents. His voice is flat, unaffected. He speaks Latin as if it were legal, code cold, precise, absolute. Then the signal is given. You are led to the arena gate. Even before you step into the light, you can hear them. The crowd, tens of thousands, packed into the stone bowl of the amphitheatrum. Voices rise and fall like waves. Not yet cheering, murmuring, waiting, whispering to each other in anticipation. The gate creaks open slowly. You step into the arena. The sunlight hits you first, sharp, unforgiving. It pours down from above, illuminating every grain of sand. The space feels larger than it should. Open, exposed. You move forward with slow, measured steps. Just as you practiced, you do not look up at the crowd. Not yet. You hear your name called. A herald reads your background, not your real life, but the version crafted for the audience. A brief story, likely embellished. A former soldier, a man who lost everything. A warrior returned from the edge of the empire. You do not correct it. The Retiarius is called next. His story is different, captured at sea. A pirate survivor. Condemned for treason. It doesn't matter if any of it is true. Across the arena, your opponents emerge. The Murmillo first tall, thick-necked, shield raised high. His bronze helmet reflects the sun like a mirror. His short sword is held down. At his side, casual but firm. Beside him, the Hoplomach is slimmer, but well-armored. His spear is long, tipped with iron. A small round shield is strapped to his forearm. He wears greaves on both legs. No exposed skin, no obvious target. You all meet in the center of the arena. A magistrate stands nearby. He is draped in ceremonial robes, a golden staff in one hand. He raises his arm. The crowd quiets. The magistrate speaks a single line, ritualistic, older than most of them realize. Avenue morituri tasli. Hail, those who are about to die salute you. You bow not deeply, but enough a trumpet sounds. The fight begins. You and your partner move first. It is not a rush, more like a circling. You do not charge blindly. You step slowly, shield raised. Gladius near your chest. The Retiarius peels left. Net at the ready. The Hoplomachus tries to divide you. Your shield absorbs the first strike of his spear. The impact numbs your shoulder. You respond with a quick step forward, a low slash. He dodges. Nimble. The Retiarius throws his net. It catches the edge of the Murmillo's arm, tangling him briefly. Enough to slow him. The crowd roars. Not for you. For the moment you follow through. You engage the Murmillo while your partner harasses the spearman. It's chaotic, loud, and full of sand kicked into your eyes. You rely on instincts now. Training. Balance, timing. You parry one blow, strike another. You feel the edge of the Murmillo's blade catch your thigh, light, but sharp. Pain flares, but you stay standing. The fight continues, not seconds, minutes. Breath grows short, muscles tighten, but you don't stop. Eventually, your partner disarms the hoplomachus with a swift entangling of the net. The man stumbles. The crowd gasps. The magistrate stands. You raise your blade. The hoplomachus drops to his knees. Shield cast aside. You look toward the editor's box. He does not speak. He raises his hand, turns it slowly, thumb pointed sideways. The crowd waits. He extends his thumb upward. Mercy, you step back. The fight ends. You are led from the arena not as a victor, but as a survivor. No laurels, no parade, but you walk on your own feet, and that is enough. The sound of the crowd fades behind you, replaced by the low groan of the wooden gate sliding shut. You walk slowly, each step pressing fine grains of sand deeper into your sandals. Your thigh aches where the blade found you. It wasn't deep, but enough to leave a mark, a small red reminder of how close everything came to ending. The corridor is darker than you remember, as if the shade behind the arena gate is thicker, heavier. Maybe it's just your eyes adjusting, or maybe it's something else. The release of tension, the first full breath you've taken in what feels like hours. You're not alone. The Retiarius walks beside you, slower now, his net loosely gathered in his hand, his trident dragging slightly behind him. There is a long cut along his arm, shallow but still bleeding. Neither of you speaks. There is no need, you both lived, that's enough. A medicus waits at the end of the hallway. He doesn't ask permission, he simply gestures for you to sit. You lower yourself onto a narrow stone bench, the cold surface welcome against your overheated muscles. The wound is cleaned with wine-soaked linen, then packed with crushed herbs and wrapped tightly. The pain is manageable, more sting than injury. The medicus nods once, satisfied, then turns to the next man. You're led back to the barracks. The others greet you in their own ways. Some nod. One claps a hand gently on your shoulder. A few newer men ask quiet questions. Was it fast? Were they skilled? Did you see the Emperor's envoy in the box? You answer only what you feel like answering. You are alive. You do not owe stories today. Later, you remove your armor, piece by piece. The armamentary inspect each item for damage. Your shield's edge is cracked. Your helmet bears a dent. The gladius is intact, but duller now. They will resharpen it. You hand it over without a word. Back in your cell. The air is cooler than expected. A breeze drifts in through the small slit near the ceiling, bringing with it the distant sounds of the city. Life continues out there: markets, taverns, temples, people drinking, eating, laughing. You wonder if any of them know your name now. If they'll remember you tomorrow? Probably not. But for today, they saw you. A servant arrives with food, a simple bowl of beans, a slab of dark bread, a wedge of aged cheese, and wine. Not much, but more than usual. A gesture from the Laniste, perhaps, or maybe from the editor himself. Either way, you accept it. You eat slowly. The food is heavy and grounding. The Retiarius eats nearby. His arm has been wrapped, and he moves it carefully. You nod to him. He raises his cup slightly in return. A silent toast, survivor's gratitude afterward. You lie on your mat, staring at the ceiling. You notice for the first time the faint lines in the stone above you. Scratches, maybe carved by a previous occupant, maybe made from years of shifting wooden furniture, or careless guards dragging tools. You reach for the token beneath your blanket. The carved laurel leaf. You press it between your palms, your thumb tracing the smooth grooves. The action is automatic now, as familiar as breathing. Eventually, you hear footsteps outside. A voice calls names 2, 3, not yours. Those men rise, gathering their belongings. Some may be sold, others reassigned to different ludi. The life of a gladiator is not static. Survival only earns you more time, not freedom. For now, though, you stay. Later that evening, there's a gathering in the central yard. No fanfare, just fighters sitting together, eating quietly. Some speak in whispers, others laugh too loudly. A few remain alone, their backs against the stone wall, their eyes unfocused. One man sings softly, a tune from the provinces. Foreign words, a melody that drifts into the night and disappears among the olive trees. You don't join the song. You watch the firelight flicker across worn faces. Every man here has bled, some more than once, some not yet. But all of them understand what happened today. Not just the match. Not the outcome. The weight of standing in the arena, of being seen, of walking out. You retire to your cell well after dark. You're exhausted, but sleep doesn't come quickly. Your body aches. Your ears still ring faintly from the roar of the amphitheater. You close your eyes. You try to remember your movements, your stance, your first strike, the block, the parry. You try to find the moment where it could have ended, and you realize something else. It never really ends. Not until they stop calling your name. Not until you stop getting back up. Your breathing slows, your thoughts drift. You remember home, not a specific memory, but a feeling. Warm soil underfoot, the smell of bread, someone humming nearby. You let that feeling carry you, and finally, sleep arrives. Slow, like dusk. Soft, like worn cloth. Complete. The morning after a fight feels different from all others. Not just in your body, though the aches are there. It's in the rhythm of the day, the silence in the halls, the way no one speaks unless they have to. There's no training scheduled, no drills, no sparring, just recovery. You are not expected to perform. Not today. You sit up slowly, testing your leg where the gladius sliced across it. The bandage is stiff, but clean. The medicus did his work well. The cut won't fester. It might even scar. Outside your cell, you hear muted footsteps and the clatter of pottery. A young servant delivers a jug of water and a small bowl of lentils. Still warm, he doesn't meet your eyes. He bows slightly, then walks away, his sandals whispering against the stone. You eat slowly, without urgency. There's no schedule today. Some men sleep. Others sit outside under the narrow eaves where the sunlight doesn't reach. You pass a few as you walk the perimeter of the training yard, limping slightly. One nods to you. Another has his arm in a sling, the skin around his shoulder dark. With bruising, you find a bench in the shade and sit. And for the first time in a while, you simply exist. There's no fight to prepare for. No tactic to review. No enemy to study. You watch the wind ripple the dust. A small lizard darts across the stones. It pauses in a patch of light, head twitching, then disappears beneath a crack in the wall. Later, a trainer walks by. Not your Dr. Ann. Older man, maybe retired. Maybe once a fighter himself. He carries a staff more as a walking stick than a tool. He pauses near you. You held the line well, he says, voice quiet, didn't overstep. You nod, unsure whether it was praise or simply observation. Tomorrow, maybe you'll show the newer ones how to fall without panic. He adds, and then he walks on. It's the closest thing to a compliment you've heard in weeks. In the afternoon, you are summoned to the scribe's chamber. It's a small stone room filled with wax tablets, scrolls, and sealed records. The scribe wears a simple tunic, stained with ink. He barely looks at you as he retrieves a small square board and scratches something into the surface. Your name, the date of the match, the type of opponent, the result, survived, he mutters, then signs the tablet with his seal. The record is handed off to an assistant, who will update the official scroll later. You are now one match older in the eyes of Rome. No cheers, no medal, no reward, just a mark beside your name that says you lived. Outside, the sun has begun to shift, shadows lengthen. The light grows warmer, a cart rolls past, pulled by a pair of dusty mules. Inside are broken shields, cracked helmets, dented greaves, the refuse of yesterday's violence. They'll be repainted, repainted, reused. You wonder how many of those belong to men who didn't walk back in the courtyard. Two of the newest recruits are practicing footwork. Their balance is poor, their swords swing too wide. The doctor watches, correcting them with brief, sharp commands. One of the young men turns too quickly and slips in the dust. Falling hard on his side, he doesn't get up right away. You watch him breathe heavily, his hand gripping the dirt. You remember that feeling later. The Retiarius joins you near the well. His arm is unwrapped, the skin raw but clean. He doesn't speak at first, just draws water, drinks deeply, and leans against the stone rim. You think they'll pair us again? He finally asks. You shrugged. If they thought it worked, he nods. Considering this, they'll want someone to die next time, he says. They don't like 2 survivors in a row. You say nothing, he's right. He knows it. You both do. You spend part of the evening tending to your armor, polishing where the edge caught, wiping away the residue of blood and oil. It's a quiet task, slow, repetitive, almost meditative. The rhythm of the cloth against bronze, the weight of the blade in your lap nearby. A few of the others play a quiet game with dice and pebbles. No gold, just tally marks scratched into a piece of wood. They laugh without joy, not because they're happy, but because they remember how to act like they are. You lie down early that night, your muscles sore in familiar places. The stone beneath you feels harder than usual, but you welcome it. It grounds you. Above, the sky is clear through the small window near the ceiling. A sliver of moon is visible. You think about time, not in days or months or years, but in matches, in scars, in names crossed off a list, in the way the doctor no longer calls you new one. Sleep comes slowly tonight, not from fear, not from pain, but from thought, a quiet awareness that your life is now measured in moments survived, not dreams, not destinations, and yet you still breathe, you still rise, you are still here, and in this world that is no small thing. Time blurs in the ludus. Days bleed into one another without ceremony. There are no holidays here, no weekends, no mornings spent idle unless earned by blood. Every moment is calculated, neither moving toward the next fight, or recovering from the last. You wake before the sun, not from orders, but from habit. The ache in your shoulder is familiar now. It speaks to you as clearly as any language. You are alive. You roll your joints, stretch your back, and press your palms against the cool stone floor to rise. Outside, the yard is silent, but not empty. A few men move slowly in the dust, running forms, reviewing footwork, shadow boxing against phantoms. There is comfort in repetition. You join them. You grip a wooden sword today, a Rudy's, the training blade issued to all novices. Its balance is different, heavier in the wrong places, but it's less dangerous to your already bruised ribs. Your movements are slower than they were last week, but you're more deliberate. You are not the newest anymore. Later in the morning, the doctor gathers the cohort for formation drills. You fall into line, shoulder to shoulder. Sword and shield, step, step, thrust, step, step, block. The dust rises with your movement. Your sandals leave worn prints in the ground that vanish seconds later under other steps. The doctor watches everything. His voice is calm, but exacting. He does not waste praise. He doesn't need to. Improvement is its own reward. Mistakes are their own punishment. A newer recruit stumbles during a block. His shield turns too far inward. The trainer corrects him with the flat of his wooden sword. Not cruelly but firmly. He nods. The lesson is absorbed. In the afternoon, the sun is too hot for heavy movement. The lanista gives orders for light work. You sharpen blades. You oil leather straps. You check your helmet for hairline fractures. Small things, necessary things stop between tasks. You sit in the shadow of the barracks wall. You rub oil into the handle of your gladius, wiping it down with a strip of wool cloth. The scent of it is strong pine, with a sharp edge of resin. Nearby, a veteran talks about a match he fought in Ephesus. The arena there was different, open to the sea breeze, with marble statues around the outer edge. He fought a secutor with one eye, and swears the man laughed every time he bled. You don't know if it's true, but no one interrupts him. Some stories exist only to be heard in the evening. There is a visitor to the ludus, a minor nobleman, accompanied by scribes and a pair of city guards. He walks the outer walkway, observing the fighters below. He's young, dressed in blue robes with golden fastenings. His sandals are clean, unscoffed. He does not speak directly to you, but he sees you. He stops for a moment, nods toward you, says something to his scribe. You don't hear the words later. The lanista calls you aside. The noble has requested your name be added to a future roster, a private event, a small match, a demonstration, not an official munus, but a public spectacle nonetheless. You nod. You have no say in the matter, but the lanista seems pleased. His tone is unusually light. A good sign, he says. They're remembering you. You return to your cell that night and sit quietly for a long time before lying down. You think about the nobleman's gaze, the way it passed over you like a hand choosing a figure in a game. You weren't a man to him, you were a piece, a part of the machinery, Still, you polish your sword again, you coil your belt neatly, you remove a small stone from your sandal. These things matter, not because anyone else will see but because you will dot before sleep. You trace the crack in the wall near your mat. You've been doing it every night. You still don't know who made it, but it's smooth now, from the path your fingers follow. A small ritual, quiet, pointless, perhaps, but yours, and in a world where so little belongs to you, even that is something. You lie down, breathe. The barracks hums with soft sound snoring, the rustle of cloth, the bark of a distant dog beyond. The walls dot, the torch outside your cell flickers lower. Darkness creeps in like a tide, and you let it, you welcome it. You do not dream of victory, you dream of silence, of dust, of standing in the sun without fear. There are days when nothing happens. No fights, no visitors, no announcements, only the ordinary, the rhythm of the training yard, the scrape of wood against sand, the familiar pain in your calves from drills that never change. These are the days that stretch longest, the ones that blur at the edges. You lose track of them unless you count scars, or meals, or the slow grind of iron against the whetstone. The morning comes with cool air. A breeze slips through the open arch near the armory, and moves across the yard. It carries the scent of olive oil and dust. A quiet morning. You like those best, not because they're easier, but because they're real. No crowd, no blood, just routine. You begin your day by tending to your gear. Your helmet's inner lining has begun to fray. You borrow a needle from one of the older fighters and stitch it back together with thick thread. The needle bites your thumb once, and you suck the blood away with a tired indifference. The leather straps of your greaves are stiff, so you oil them with care. You were never taught how to do these things. No one explained how to manage armor or care for blades. You learned by watching, by failing, by mimicking the men who lasted longer than others. The silent teachers dot after that training begins. Today is formation sparring. You line up with your shield bros for a cross, for deep, a small mock phalanx. Not Roman style. Not really, but useful for practicing movement and coordination. You are second in the line. You feel the sweat from the man beside you as you move shoulder to shoulder. The doctor walks the line with his staff, watching every twitch a muscle, every unbalanced stance. Your group fails to pivot as one. You reset. You try again and again. Repetition, correction, muscle memory. Eventually, your body obeys before your mind can form the thought. By midday, your limbs burn. Your wrists are sore from gripping the shield edge too tightly. Your tunic sticks to your back. You are dismissed only when the doctor is satisfied. No sooner you eat in silence. Stew flatbread, a strip of dried meat, not warm, not cold. Just food that you drink deeply from the cistern and watch the steam rise. From your skin, someone tells a joke near the benches. Laughter follows. You don't hear the words, but the rhythm of it is familiar. You remember laughter. What it feels like to be part of it. To belong to something outside of survival. In the late afternoon, the scribes arrive again. 2 of them. One carries a tablet, the other a scroll. They sit beneath a shaded awning and call names. Fighters approach one by one. You hear your name. You step forward. The scribe reads aloud your record. 3 matches, 2 victories, 1 draw. You are assigned a symbol, a mark, used for betting odds. Nothing personal, just probability. Calculated by men who've never held a sword. They mark you for a bout in 10 days. Time. Private match. Small crowd. You are given a date, that's all you nod. That's all they need. Back in the training yard, you ask for permission to spar. The doctor allows it, pairing you with a Threxa short, wiry fighter with a curved sword and high knit stance. You've fought his kind before, but not this one. You circle each other slowly, then clash. His blade is faster, but your shield is heavier. You drive forward. Feel the sting of a wooden blade catch your ribs. You reset. You try again. This is where trust forms, not through words, but through exchanged blows. Through sweat and silence. He doesn't speak afterward. Neither do you. But the nod you exchange is real. That night you lie on your mat and trace the lines of your arm. New bruises, fading cuts. A growing map of violence, slowly etched into your body. You think of the nobleman again. The one who requested your name. You wonder what he saw in you. Was it skill? A certain gait? Or just a whim? To him, it was probably nothing. But to you, it's everything. Your next fight is scheduled. Your path is fixed. You fall asleep thinking not of the blade, but of the quiet between matches. The little moments where you remember who you were, or who you thought you might be, once. You dream, not of home, but of walking down a long road with no destination. The sky is gray. The trees have no leaves, and there are no footsteps behind you. Only wind, only silence, only you. The days before a scheduled fight are the quietest. Not because there's less to do, but because everything you do becomes more deliberate. The noise in your head dulls. The sound of training drills fades into the background. You start to notice the little things more clearly. The smell of boiled grain in the kitchen. The soft creak of old wood under the armor racks. The way the torchlight flickers against the walls in the hallway just before dawn. You move through the ludus like a shadow now. Not hiding, just distant. The fight is still several days away, but the weight of it has already landed on your shoulders. It changes how you walk, how you breathe. You speak less, sleep less. And when you do sleep, it's never deep. You lie in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling, tracing familiar cracks and letting your mind drift just enough to keep the darkness out, but not far enough to dream. This is the cycle every fighter knows. It doesn't matter how many times you've fought. Each match feels like the first. Each opponent could be the last. During training, the doctor has you practicing timing drills, tight footwork, controlled strikes, slow movements that demand discipline over speed. It's not about power. It's about remembering your shape, your range, your rhythm when you finish. He says nothing, just nods. That's all you need. There's a superstition in the ludus. Fighters who talk too much before a match are the ones who don't come back. It's not a formal rule, but everyone knows it. You hear fewer jokes now. Even the dice games seem quieter. The laughter is forced, like men trying to push away the growing shadow of what's coming. You clean your armor for the third time in 2 days. There's no need. It's already polished, but the act soothes you. The motion gives your hands something to do. Sometimes, you think you can still feel the weight of old blood in the straps, even when you know it's gone. One of the older gladiators sits across the yard, sharpening his blade with a slow, patient rhythm. He doesn't look up, he doesn't speak. But he hums low, steady, tuneless. Just a sound to fill the silence. You listen, eyes closed for a moment, breathing in and out. You remember a voice faint, feminine, distant, a name maybe, a place. Then it slips away again, lost behind the walls of the ludus. Later that day, a healer comes to check your scars and joints. He's small, thin, with ink-stained fingers and a pouch of dried herbs. He presses into your shoulder, feels the tendon in your knee. He mutters to himself, then applies a cold compress wrapped in cloth to your ribs. You'll move, he says. It'll hurt, but you'll move. You nod. That's enough. Pain has long since stopped being a signal of danger. Now it's just another language, one you've learned to speak fluently. In the evening, the lanista visits the yard. He rarely speaks to the fighters directly. But today, he walks among you, eyeing posture, armor, expression. He stops in front of you. Not close, just enough to be seen, acknowledged. A small crowd, he says, but wealthy. You say nothing. He smiles faintly. They'll want a show, give them something to remember. Then he walks away, and you are alone again. The torchlight begins to glow as the sun fades. Shadows stretch across the yard. You walk to the training dummy and strike it once. Just once. The sound echoes in the stillness. Then silence. You sleep on your back that night, staring up at the same stone ceiling, the same narrow slit of moonlight. You wonder what your opponent is doing. Whether they're staring at the same sky, whether they're afraid. You close your eyes. You tell yourself to relax, to let go, to drift. But the truth is, this is how you prepare, by holding still, by not looking away, by facing it, again and again, until it becomes nothing more than another hour in the day. You don't dream, you just breathe, and wait, and listen to the quiet hum of men trying not to remember who they were before they were weapons. The day before the match begins like every other day, but nothing about it feels the same. The moment you wake, your body is aware. Your muscles are coiled tighter than usual. Your senses feel sharper, your hearing more sensitive. You hear water dripping from the stone gutter outside. You hear the faint metallic clink of someone adjusting their greaves to cells down. You hear your own breath and how long it takes between the inhale and the exhale. You sit up slowly. No one calls your name, there is no trumpet, no announcement. But your name is already written on the tablet by the gate. You don't need to see it. You just know. The doctor doesn't change his tone. There is no ceremony for what's coming. No moment of recognition or pause for reflection. You're given a routine set of drills, like any other morning. You fall into the rhythm because that's what you've been trained to do. Repetition is comfort, and comfort is rare. The ground is dry beneath your sandals. The dust rises with every step. You strike the training dummy with your gladius in controlled, deliberate arcs. Not fast, not reckless. Just true. A few others. Spar in pairs, their movements careful now. Nobody wants to risk an injury the day before a match. You trade glances with the older fighters. Not fear, not friendship. Just acknowledgement. You've all stood on the edge of something before. Later, the linista appears. He hands you a fresh tunic clean, the edges trimmed in red thread. Not luxurious, but newer than what you usually wear. He also gives you a strip of leather, wrapped tightly and sealed with a wax mark. Inside, pimenta coin or two, nothing more, a token for the fight to come. Something to be used if you live. He doesn't say good luck. He doesn't need to dot in the shade of the barracks. You sit and begin. The quiet ritual of preparing your gear. The gladius is oiled. The blade checked for nicks, the balance. The balance tested again and again by lifting it slowly, letting it rest across your palm. The shield is inspected for cracks, none found. You tighten the leather straps. You test the inner padding. Your helmet is heavy in your lap. You run your fingers along its edge and trace the marks left behind by old fights. You've stopped thinking of them as scars. Now they're reminders. Proof of survival. A young medicus comes by and wraps your knee again. He says nothing this time, just works in silence, tying the final knot with careful precision. You nod once. He moves on. At midday, the sun falls hard onto the yard. The light is bright enough to blind if you look up, so you keep your gaze down. You drink water from a shared basin, the rim warm from the heat. A few fighters bathe, scraping dust from their arms with dull knives. You don't join them. You sit against the wall. You watch the shadows move across the ground. As the sun drifts, eventually the doctor walks by and tells you, rest. That's all. Just the word rest, but you know what it means. You return to your cell and lie on the mat. You close your eyes, you try to sleep, but sleep doesn't come easy the day before a fight. Your thoughts slow down, but they don't disappear. You think of strange things. A tree you climbed when you were a child. The sound of a bell in the marketplace. A scar on your right hand you no longer remember getting. Song that's long since lost its words. The brain finds strange paths before danger. You drift, if only. For a while when you wake, it's night. The torches flicker low. The barracks is quiet. You rise, you take your gladius and your helmet, and place them beside your mat. Not out of fear, not for defense. Just so they're there, when morning comes. And it will come, just like it always does. But this time it comes with noise, with shouting, with sand, with blood. You lie back down, your breathing slows. You remind yourself this is your place. Now not by choice, but by survival. And you've made it this far, so you close your eyes again, and let the stillness hold you. The morning arrives without ceremony. There is no trumpet, no distant roar. Not yet. Only the sound of sandals brushing stone, the clatter of armor being lifted, and the murmur of names being called in low voices by men who have seen too many matches to be moved anymore. You rise before they reach your cell. You've been awake. You dress slowly, layer by layer. First, the tunic, thin, utilitarian, singed at the waist with a narrow strip of leather. Then the padded underarmor, tied tightly across your chest and shoulders. The weight of it is comforting, familiar. You fasten your greaves. Around your shins, the leather worn smooth by time and dust. One strap is frayed, but it holds. Your belt carries the gladius. You sling the shield over your back for now, though soon it will be at your side. You leave your cell without needing to be told. The doctor watches from the end of the corridor. His arms are crossed, his expression unreadable. He nods once as you pass. Nothing more. The sunlight is hard already, striking across the courtyard like a blade. The air smells of oil, sand, and warm stone. The others gather near the gate. Some pace, some kneel, some murmur prayers. Barely audible, just vibrations beneath the breath. You don't speak, you never do on fight days. Your opponent stands a few paces away. You glance at him. Not tall, but lean. His armor is older, dented but well kept. His helmet has a visor like a hawk's beak. A secutor like you. He doesn't look at you. That too is normal. There's no anger between you, no rivalry, only function. Today he is not a man. Today he is a task, a test, just as you are to him. The guards arrive and unlock the outer gate. There is no cheering, not yet. Only the deep, metallic groan of iron doors swinging open. The path to the arena is short, narrow. The walls curve inward. It feels like walking into the throat of a great beast. The roar comes suddenly, not like thunder, but like a wave. It rises and then crashes all at once. The crowd sees movement, and that is enough. They don't know your names. They know only the shape of armor, the glint of steel, the rhythm of boots on packed sand. You step into the arena, and everything changes. The light is brighter. Here, the sky is too wide. You feel the heat rising from the ground itself. The sand is soft beneath your feet. It shifts slightly, making each step less certain than the one before. The crowd is a blur, color and sound with no distinct face. Flags wave, hands reach. Voices clash in 1,000 different tones. You do not look up. You look forward. The editor of the games sits above, behind a veil of shade and attendance. He raises his hand, but you don't see it. You only hear the signal. A single horn. Low, long, then silence, and then movement. You and your opponents circle one another. You feel your heart in your throat. Not fear, not yet. Just blood moving fast. Breath sharp. Eyes scanning for weakness. The crowd is silent. Now watching, waiting. Your shield lifts. The gladius rises a step. Another. You close the distance. Slowly, no rush, no waste. Your blades touch not in a strike, but in testing. You feel the pressure of his wrist, the tension in his shield arm. You step back, he follows. Then you lunge. The first real sound comes, steel on steel. A quick, sharp report that echoes across the arena walls. The crowd cheers. Not for you, not for him, just for noise. You don't hear them anymore. The fight narrows your world to sand, to steel, to breath. You strike again. He counters. You step. He slips. You press. He recovers. There is no time to think. Only instinct. Only practice repeated so often that it becomes nature. A cut across your thigh, shallow, but it wakes something in you. The pain centers. You. Your vision sharpens. You find the edge of his stance, left foot slightly too far back. You exploit it. Your gladius sweeps low, catching the curve of his greave. He stumbles but does not fall. He swings. Your shield catches it. The shock runs through your arm. You adjust, reset. You circle again. The sand is darker now, speckled with sweat and blood. You don't know how long it lasts. The crowd fades. The sun is just heat. You and he move like mirrored storms, flashes of metal, bursts of motion, then stillness again. Eventually, something gives. He stumbles again. This time it's real. You press forward, blade raised. His shield lowers, barely enough. You strike a clean hit, chest. Not fatal, but final. He drops to one knee, breath ragged. The horn sounds again. You stop. You wait above. The editor decides. Thumb raised. Not today. You step back. The crowd cheers again. You help your opponent to his feet. He nods once. Still no words. Back through the tunnel, back into the shade. The moment fades. Quickly, it always does. Later you sit in your cell. Alone. The sweat dries. The pain settles. You take off your helmet. Your hands are shaking slightly. Not from fear, not anymore. Just from what it takes to return from the edge and live. The noise has faded. You no longer hear the crowd. You no longer hear the bark of commands. the clink of coin purses exchanging hands, or the wild cheers that echoed when steel met flesh. All of that belongs to the outer world now. The world of spectacle, of games, of illusion. You sit alone in silence. In the dimness of your cell, everything feels smaller again. The walls are close. The light through the ceiling grate is thin, barely illuminating the dust motes that drift without purpose. You unstrap your armor one piece at a time. It comes off more slowly than it went on. Your hands are tired, your body stiff. You move carefully, not because of pain, but out of the fatigue that settles into the bones, not the muscles. The greaves come first, then the arm guards, then the chest padding, damp with sweat. You let it fall beside your mat. Finally, your gladia set down with reverence, not ceremony. It has served you again. Your hands are red and raw, the skin along your knuckles scraped from repeated impacts. You wash them in a small basin. The water turns pink, then pale, then clear again. You don't dry them, you just sit. Somewhere outside, the doctor walks the corridors, checking on the others. A few fighters will be missing from the beds tonight. Some are being tended to by the Medici. Others are gone for good. The Lanista will already be making arrangements to replace them. For every name lost, there are always more volunteers, or prisoners, or slaves. You have no idea which one you are anymore. You lie back. The stone under your shoulder is cool, the mat uneven. But this is your home, your world. The arena is not where you live. The cell is, the silence is. No one comes to congratulate you, no one claps you on the shoulder or raises your hand in triumph. That's not how it works. Survival is not celebrated, it is expected, and yet, there is a moment, quiet and fleeting, when you stare up at the ceiling and let yourself feel it. The tension slowly leaks from your muscles. The breath you didn't know you were holding finally leaves your chest. You are still here, and that matters. Even if no one says it out loud. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just yet, but to remember. You think back to the first time you walked into this ludus. You were younger, leaner, still shaped like a man who belonged to another life. You didn't yet walk like a gladiator. You didn't yet sleep with your eyes half open. You didn't yet know what it meant to be cheered for violence and pitied. In silence, you remember how hard it was to swing a blade for the first time, not in practice, but with real intent. You remember what it cost, how it changed the way you held yourself, how it changed the way you saw others. You think about all the things you've forgotten, faces, names, the place you were born, the people who once knew you before you became this dot, and then, you stop thinking. Because in this world, memory is dangerous. It softens you, and softness doesn't survive long here. The light shifts again, another hour passes. You drift into a half-sleep, half-alert state that all fighters know. Well, you let your thoughts blur and slow. There's no dream, just a slow gray quiet that wraps around you like linen. This is how life continues. Not in fire, not in glory, but in repetition. One fight at a time, one breath, one night. You're not a hero. There are no heroes here, just men shaped into weapons, molded by discipline, pain, silence, and time. When the crowd sees you, they see the myth, the story, the drama, but here behind the gates, after the shouting ends, you are only what you have become, a survivor, still breathing, still waiting, still ready, because tomorrow the horn may sound again.